Welcome to the Nest Postgame Show. After the Albany Firebirds remain undefeated after a 71-55 victory over the Nashville Kats tonight at MVP Arena. With me is my co-host, Chris Ipperly, a new co-host tonight, Chris's daughter, Bailey, and to my left, one of the main catalysts to tonight's victory, Trevon Shorts. Trevon, thank you for joining us on tonight's postgame.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys for having me.
So I wanted to kind of get right into it. First half, it seemed like the sync wasn't there. What did you guys talk about in the second in the locker room to go into the second half?
I would say we ended up more so adjusting right before halftime. So coming into halftime, we actually knew what we already needed to do and just come out and capitalize on that.
So Henry ends the half with a deuce, so to give you guys a 2-point lead, and then DJ, collects the fumble on the next kickoff, so you get that 10-point swing. Just talk about being able to go from up 2 to up 8, or up 10 or whatever, right at the beginning of the second half to help you guys out.
Yeah, it's just, I've been playing this game for a little while now, so I don't really get too high or too low when we go up big like that, because I've been in games where you come back from crazy numbers. So we've even came back from something like that. So I try to stay cool, level-headed, and just try to win each play.
And that at that point, DJ's fumble recovery and Henry's PAT make it a 37-28 game.
Mm-hmm.
And you got the momentum, going for that. And then 4 plays later, first and goal at the 9, and ta-da! Here comes Trevon, interception. Really kills their drive, kills their any kind of momentum trying to come back. Just talk about that play, what you saw, how you did that, and then obviously getting the interception.
I would like to say shout out to my rookies and my coach Lou. Coach Lou, that's something we worked on. We was watching the young quarterback. He has a real time and rhythm, and by the time his third step, if the read isn't open, he's going to look for a check down, and that's exactly where I ran to. So, and I worked on that with 2 of our rookies today, so I appreciate them as well right before the game. And wish I'd have had both second pick too, but hey, get what you get.
But it's an idea. I think it's you're looking in the eyes and you're trying to see where he's going, and then just with your quickness, you're able to get in that throwing lane and just make a problem.
Yeah, I try.
And then that leads to coming back down. Sam throws one of 4 touchdown passes to DB. He leads the world in touchdown catches right now. Just talk about Sam and DB and the offense. Coming back and continuing to score after you guys are able to make stops.
Yeah, I love our offense. I'm about to say everybody's a great dude. They're great athletes, and I like when they turn up because it makes me feel like I gotta turn up. When Sam do something crazy or DB catch the ball and he do a backflip, it feel like, oh, now I gotta show them up now. I gotta do something.
It's fun to watch because you guys are a complete team.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem to matter. Each phase of the game seems to make a difference in these games, and it just feels like you guys just kind of, I don't know, it's almost like that rock going down the hill. You know what I mean? Like, just get out of the way when you guys start playing that way.
Yeah, once we get in the roll, we're rolling.
and the thing is that we've seen, obviously here, but also when you guys have been away and we watched it on Vice, like the game tonight or Evergreen, it's all different guys. It's you tonight, and maybe it was Harold a couple weeks ago, and it's Mike Lee and Marcus, and just defensively, it's a different guy every night. So they can't just focus on you. They can't just focus on this guy or that guy because anybody can beat you.
Yeah.
And I got to say, too, you guys got a bunch of hammers on that defense, man.
Oh, yeah.
My goodness. Obviously that translates over to the special teams, too, because you guys have made some snot bubbles out there. You know what I mean?
So, I'm about to say we emphasize special teams
it's big.
this week. Last week, Solana was a very good football team, and Solana had a very good special teams unit, and we felt as though that was part of one of the phases that we failed at.
Yeah.
So we tried to make sure that this week we focused a lot on special teams, giving all our effort and making sure, securing the tackles, getting blocks and stuff. So I feel like we had a way better day on special teams this week.
Not to give away trade secrets, but it just seemed, to me, watching it last week, it seemed like lane discipline is really what it looked like to me. Because being up top, you could just see there was just this, there were significant lanes, and this week it was the opposite of that.
And that's just, I would assume that's just kind of adjustments. You guys obviously watch the film, and you guys work as a unit, a special teams unit. Okay, what do we got to fix? What do we got to do that? So that credit to, obviously coaching and you guys being able to make adjustments week to week.
Yeah, most definitely. That was definitely one thing. I will give Solana their credit. Like they had some pretty
they play great.
fast dudes on their kickoff.
Yeah.
So
Honeycutt's the real deal. Man. He's a
yeah,
good player.
me and Scott came up. Me, Scott, Maxwell came up with a plan this week how we were going to block them, and all week we focused on only getting the fast guys to run against us doing the special teams drill, and
it makes a difference.
I'm about to say it definitely made a difference because they weren't moving as fast as last week. I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
It might be a little bit easier. But.
And then, with 8:53 left in the third quarter, you guys, kick off. They get the ball back, and on the first play, Zeke with the sack, Harold with the fumble recovery at the 1 yard line, and then you run it in for a touchdown on offense. So an interception on defense, that Iron Man style, that's your bread and butter. Talk about, being able to be on both sides of the ball and how that changes how you prepare every week.
I mean, I'm the last reigning Iron Man of the year, so I feel like I have an obligation to play both sides of the ball. And Coach Ware already knows. He tells me all the time, like, I mean, you're still playing running back, so don't think you're just going to be playing linebacker. So, mind you, I don't like it, and I like having the weight on my shoulders with everybody depending on me, and that's why I got the number that I got on.
Right.
So.
They scored some points in the end and everything, but just talk a little bit about the bend don't break mentality. Okay, yeah, you got a 30-point lead at one point. They come back and score a couple of scores. But you're not breaking. So talk about that bend and not break kind of style. You guys play that also when you need to.
Yeah, basically our motto is doesn't matter what happened, we stay together, and we give everything we got because at the end of the day, you can't teach effort. So.
No. Can't fake it either.
And I say this all the time too. Like you can't control what happens to you. You can only control how you react to it.
Mm-hmm.
So even when it comes down to penalties, we're not getting certain calls. Players going down. They're getting close in the game. You can't really do nothing about it. But relax, take a deep breath, and keep it moving. That's why one thing I love about Big Love, Harold Love, he brings us up every time we come out there for a drive. He's defense, take a deep breath, and we do 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So it just calms everybody's nerves. So you don't be so caught up into the game and thinking all the extra stuff. Just do what you got to do.
Harold Love, one half of the romantics between him and Zeke.
Yeah.
So now you guys move on to 8-0. You have a bye week, which I'm sure you're looking very forward to after playing, a bunch of weeks in a row. And then you got Corpus coming up, and then you got a couple more weeks off, and then your, last game of the regular season. Just talk about keeping the momentum going through the bye week and then to playing Corpus Christi on the 24th.
I would say the bye week momentum would be more so just staying focused, getting healthy.
Yeah, it's big.
Like making sure we getting our treatment, stuff like that. Like shout out to iCryo up in Clifton Park. They've been doing wonderful jobs for us. I go there almost twice a week, and they got everything in there. But yeah, so I just say that's really more so that and keeping up with our film and everything. Don't get complacent because we're 8-0. Like I tell people all the time, we had a couple of the young dudes that's like, man, it feel like playoff time now. They said it before the game. I said playoffs started week 1.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, we don't lose here. Like,
right?
Yeah,
well, that's the goal. I mean, listen, the proof's in the pudding. You know what I mean?
Well, I wanted that was a question I actually, as a veteran, I wanted to ask you because, Coach Ware brought in, a couple of new players this week, a couple of rookies coming in. They all seem to do pretty well as well. Just talk about, getting the new guys when they've only been here maybe a few days into that rhythm that you guys have had now for, a bunch of months.
Yeah, I would say the guys Coach Ware picked up are pretty humble guys, and they're ready. They came in ready to work.
That's big, man. Like
it's a great thing. And also, we aren't, even though we're a good team, I don't think too many people on our team are like cocky individuals, and we're more so not as a do as I say, but as I do.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not just going to yell at you about being late about meetings and then we pull up 2 minutes before meetings. We yelling at you about being late to meetings because we hit 25 minutes early.
Right.
So we not and that's coming from me, Zeke, DT, like all the older guys, the vets. So we just try to make sure we hold everybody accountable. And that's one thing our coach C say, emphasize enough. Hold your brothers accountable.
Yeah, it's like leading by example.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, there's not a quicker way to get kicked off on a team is when you don't do the minimum. let alone the extra. You know what I mean? When you're showing up late to meetings, I mean, that's – you can say what you want.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing.
Definitely. All right. So again, I appreciate you coming in, and I want to pass it over to Miss Bailey separately to ask some kids questions tonight. Was kids tickets night, big crowd, tons and tons of kids. Before she gets started, I want to ask one thing about that. When you obviously the crowd here has been terrific for years, but when you have so many young people in the stands cheering you on, they're just going crazy. How much does that hype you up watching these young kids in here looking up to you guys?
I'm about to say, I don't know if you guys know, I used to be a behavior tech.
Oh, I did not know that. No.
I used to be a behavior tech in Washington, D.C. at this school called Kelly Miller.
Okay, so you worked with the kids.
Yeah, I love working with kids, and we also just went to the middle schools yesterday.
Okay.
To talk to some of the kids. So a couple of the kids that were at the middle school that we talked to was there, but that's one thing I always like to be not the face, but one of the people that come to the schools and talk to these kids, because when they come to a game, they can actually see me make plays and stuff like that. So now I go from being like this big superstar dude to, oh, I know him. We talked about this. We talked about that. So I just wanted to show everybody that I'm here. I'm real.
Awesome. So Bailey, I will let you pass it on to you, and you can ask Trevon his questions.
If you like cotton candy, what's your favorite flavor?
I haven't ate cotton candy in a while, but I would say, what flavor is the mix when it's like pink and blue?
I think so. Yeah.
I think honestly, I don't even know if
I've just cotton candy.
I was going to say I don't think that I've ever had any different flavor cotton candy, but I guess I'm not as with it as Miss Bailey.
You haven't been to Disney in a while.
Yeah.
They got all the different kind of cotton candies.
Definitely haven't been in a while.
Yeah. Go ahead, next one.
What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Vanilla or cookies and cream.
What's your favorite NFL team?
I don't have an NFL team. The first team that signs me will be my NFL team. But the only sports team I like is the Boston Celtics.
Okay.
Yeah, big win today. I mean, shoot, I turned it on. They're down 40. It's like, well,
yeah.
That's all right. The Knicks had won the first two coming back from big deficits, so the Celtics ran them out today.
Okay, we're not talking about that one.
The Knicks don't have what they need.
No.
They got what they got. Hopefully, they can build on it. That's where we'll leave it. But at the end of the day, Celtics are a better team. But anyhow, go ahead. Continue.
What's your favorite restaurant?
All right. So I'm fat. I eat at a lot.
We have something in common, Trevon.
Yeah, I'm about to say I eat at a lot of restaurants, and I'm about to say I'm from Washington, D.C., and we have a lot of diverse restaurants out there. So I would say it's like a top 3. So a steakhouse, I love me a hibachi. I love hibachi.
All right.
I always get some hibachi.
She has not been to one of those.
But we got this Mexican restaurant down at the Wharf in D.C. called Ma Vida.
Mamacita?
Yeah, hey, look, I'm telling you, it's good. See, you can't get my favorite drink there because you're not old enough yet. But yeah, they got
your dad can.
Yeah, they got a good mango margarita with frozen margarita with tahini on the bottom.
Oh, excellent!
So I said, oh man,
we're getting drink recommendations. I like this. This is a good. This is a good post game show today.
I would say, I guess out here, Morton.
All right, yeah.
The Mortons, they let us have our team dinners there. They show out every town, and they got good food and good atmosphere. So I appreciate them.
All right. Well, speaking of food, I think we'll let him get some post game food and get the heck out of here. Trevon Shores, really appreciate it as always. You are our first guest here, and you will definitely not be the last. Yeah. So we appreciate it, and a great win tonight.
Yeah, and I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, we'll be right back. We'll break. We'll talk up the rest of the game, and we'll be right back.
welcome back to the Nest Postgame show. What a great interview with Trevon and Bailey. Like getting it done. I like it.
Yeah.
He had some good answers.
Yeah,
Gave some good recommendations. If you and I are ever in Washington D.C., maybe get some recommendations.
I've never been to Morton's, so
maybe a chance for that as well up here.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty awesome photos, pretty awesome food there from what I understand. But we also had a pretty
sponsor us. No.
we had a pretty awesome result tonight.
Absolutely, yeah. Big 71-55 win. To be honest, after the third quarter, it really wasn't that close. Nashville came back with a couple of touchdowns pretty late, and the Firebirds get it done. They're 8-0. 2 games left in the regular season. 2 weeks from now, May 24 here at the MVP Arena.
Yeah, my birthday. They better win.
May 24. Yeah, they better. If you're here for your birthday, against Corpus Christi. The game they won 100-12. It's definitely not going to be that now.
No, that'll be an interesting watch on Monday night. Play Washington.
I think they're playing Washington, the bottom of the league, right? With the Wolfpack.
That'll be interesting. I'm sure there will be a lot of people with a bunch of eyeballs on that. In terms of the Firebirds people. But anyway, let's
talk about tonight. Right off the bat, usually when you do recaps, you don't really always start it right at the beginning, first play, but tonight it kind of is apropos because, he hands Sam Casanova under center, hands the ball to Markel Wade. Markel stops, and here comes the Philly special with Casanova, to get the offense going. Just talk about, starting the game off like that, and the idea to, kind of throw a wrinkle in right off the bat.
We've been saying for weeks, and even coaches said it too, like, there's a lot left in the playbook. So I think, in the post-game press conference, he had mentioned, they're sprinkling some things just for guys and other teams to kind of worry about it.
Right.
So that was good to see. But again, I think there's still a lot in the tank in terms of play calling.
Yes, unfortunately, that play didn't result in any points. 4 straight incompletions. After that point from Castronova, Nashville comes down the field. 3 plays later, Tyler Kukos throws a 10-yard touchdown pass, put him down 7-0. Sam throws it. Then on the next drive, he throws the second interception of the year. And defense.
Yeah, you know what the worst thing is? That was way out of the field.
Yeah, like the kid dove over the boards, and it's like he was hidden. I don't even think the referee saw him, and then he comes up and goes, "I got it," and they're like, "Okay, interception," and it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I didn't buy that really, honestly, but
even so, Nashville comes back, gets down to the 4. They get stuffed. They kick a field goal. It is 10-0. It was the first time all year that the Firebirds have been down by more than one possession. So, you get to game 8, and that kind of a statistic, is pretty impressive that they never had a kind of start like that. But I think that it lit a fire under them to go, okay, like we were challenged last week against Salina in the overtime game. And they're coming out right now and, putting up a 10-0 lead on us. We gotta shake out the cobwebs here. What do you think about that in terms of how getting down 10-0 early can change how they do it?
I would say it was just more of attention to detail. Sam was asked the question, what contributed to the slow start? It was really just missed assignments and just not really executing. Obviously you never want to go down 10 points, but this team is capable of erasing that sort of deficit. But yeah, I would say that they weren't happy with the start for sure.
No, definitely not. But they do, at the end of the first quarter, they do come back, Sam to Dwayne Brown for the first of Dwayne's 4 touchdowns. This one, 43-yard touchdown. And he beat the defender one-on-one, got to the 1-yard line, and did a backflip into the end zone.
Yeah,
he is ridiculous. I think if I'm right, my numbers might not be, but I'm right. I think he's got 24 on the year touchdown. It's over 20. I know that.
Yeah, he's significantly good. Like I don't know what other words I can use to describe how excellent he's been.
We're running out of adjectives for DB3, I think.
And kind of the fun thing was he didn't run high motion. He did not run high motion very much tonight, and I felt like that was a little bit of a change. They used Darian Townsend a little bit more on that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, what a player. Yeah.
We only have so many words that we can use for him. Nashville comes back down and scores on a 16-yard touchdown pass from Kulka. And then their kicker had 3 deuces
He's
tonight.
very good.
The first one made it 19-7. And the guys could have been like, oh my God, like, we're down here. We've never done that before. But they fought through the adversity. On the next drive, they go 10 plays, 45 yards, and Sam to Dwayne again for a 10-yard touchdown on a crossing route. And it's 19-14. And then, getting to the end of the half, after Nashville missed a 4th down from its own 1-yard line. They kept getting backed up on false start plays and delay of game penalties.
Yeah, and they got away with a safety too.
They did.
They also I felt like I'm getting ahead of myself, but there probably should have been a 10-second runoff too on the illegal formation on offense. That should have been the game, but
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's a it's a hybrid of like NFL rules and like indoor rules, and it's things that we immediately go, oh, it's got to be that because we see that in the NFL when we watch on Sundays. It isn't.
Yeah, because like even with what we used to do, we had NCAA modified rules. So sometimes you're like, well, that's not what it looks like on Sunday on TV. Well, yeah, because that's not the rule.
Right.
So that's the challenge. Trying to unremember.
The rules that you think after years and years of watching and playing football.
Yep.
So they get an incomplete on 4th and 11 from their own 1. Albany gets it right on the doorstep, and Sam uses another Philly thing, the tush push.
Yep.
And I just saw your eyes roll back here.
No, it's not a roll. It's just, I mean, I think that was kind of a foregone conclusion. That's how that was going to go.
Oh yeah, when you get that close, it's like just let me take my guys, and they'll be stronger than your guys. It's that easy. So it puts them up 21-19. A good return gets them back, and they retake the lead 26-21. Their kicker makes another deuce to go up 7. And then with less than 30 seconds left, Albany starts to drive and goes 5 plays, finished it off by Sam throwing a touchdown to Darian Thompson from 8 yards out. He threw that ball, and Darian was at like the R in Firebirds on the end zone on the carpet.
I know.
And by the time he catches, he's in the corner, and he's literally like head topping the defender, and then gets up on the thing and does the dirty bird on the board. So
and he's another guy that's just endlessly talented. Like.
And he was a late go because he had a concussion, so there was some uncertainty. Is he going to play? How much is he going to play? What are you going to get out of that? Didn't seem to affect him.
No, and he had a hell of a catch with backup quarterback. We had him on number 4,
Robert McCoy.
Yeah, McCoy made a nice throw, and Darren came up with it again. Really good football team. I mean, like when Trevon was on, I mean what I said. Like that team is just good on every facet, every level of football. They're going to be hard out. They obviously control their destiny. I mean, I don't know that they clinched anything tonight, but I think the math may support that. But I'm not.
Yeah, we'll have to look back. It'll be one of those Monday morning Monday morning kind of situations to see where we're at that point.
Yep.
Then the second half, we kind of talked about it with Trevon, DJ Walden's fumble return, I think, or fumble recovery in the end zone.
That was humongous.
I think that changed the trajectory of tonight.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And then Trevon's interception, the third of the 4 touchdowns to Dwayne Brown, and then Trevon himself goes in and makes it 51-28. They scored 23 points in 7.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's what this offense is capable of doing to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the game, they just weren't there yet. As soon as they got it going, I mean, again, no team is invincible, but
no, Albany almost learned that last week.
Yeah.
Against a really, really good Salina team with Rakeem Cato at quarterback. That kid, from what I've seen, watching the games, watching some of the highlights, all that kind of stuff, to me, it's like him and Sam are like that 1-2 right now.
Yeah.
In terms of leading their teams at this moment.
Yeah, I think again you can't get too far ahead because you don't know what the future's going to bring. But there's obviously some competition out there, and Albany's going to be on top of their game as they move forward.
Of course. So the 4 touchdown from Sam to DB3 was a 38-yard touchdown pass. You remember watching like the old NFL films with the
Yeah.
frozen tundra and John Facenda and all that stuff. And they have the thing of like to Drew Pearson from the Cowboys where they did the Hail Mary kind of thing, and they show this like the spiral of the ball in super slow motion and everything. That was that play to Dwayne Brown tonight. It was literally this beautiful rainbow throw, gorgeous throw, and then DB just comes down with it and slides into the end zone. Just chef's kiss.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he does a little bit of everything. Tonight he ran by a couple guys a few times. There's a little bit of everything. Like last week we were saying, like with Isaiah Scott that had a big game, and he's DB did too, but he's out there mossing guys. Like he's super physical. He's got a little bit of everything. I don't want to pander too much more, but you know where I come from.
I would say at this moment right now, I would say that DB3 is an MVP candidate. The only problem for him is that another MVP candidate is in the same locker room with him.
Yeah.
In Sam. So it's a wealth of riches here in Albany at this point.
Yeah. That's the kind of things it's a good problem to have.
Yeah. And then just to kind of finish up on the Albany side, Maxwell with a 4-yard touchdown, scores on the run. And then Darian scores again from 14 yards out. And that was like Sam threw between two defenders and it got tipped. And the presence of mind for Darian to see the ball go up and grab it and snag it in between the two guys, that you can't train. That's not trainable. That's just instinct.
No, he just has it. I mean, all those guys do. It just seems to be waves of guys, and like again, they're 8-0. They're exactly where they wanted to be, and they get a week to get healed up and come out and play again here at MVP.
Yeah, I think it's going to be these last couple of weeks. I think are going to be interesting because they've had such a stretch of games and obviously getting the job done every time to put W's up. How they handle the buys in terms of getting, like he said, Trevon said tonight, like getting healthy and just being able to focus on the next one and the next one, and it's all about Corpus Christi in 2 weeks. Like they'll celebrate tonight, these guys have talked about, Isaiah Scott last week. We'll celebrate tonight, and then it's right on to the next one.
Yep.
But I think this team is going to be tough to beat. We've seen it. They can do the blowout. They can do the really close. They can do the clutch late. They can, have a rough first half and then come out and score 23 unanswered in 7 minutes. They can blitz you out of the building.
Well, they can beat you on special teams. They can beat you
on special teams.
They can beat you on special teams play. They can beat you on defensive play. Offense is what it is. I mean, proof's in the pudding. I mean, I haven't done the math, but my guesses are in the high 70s for average.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I want I did also want to talk about another thing, and it was mostly on special teams. We had some on defense as well, especially in the second half. We had some boys laying the wood.
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
special teams. And I'm blanking on his first name, number 13, Mr. Green, one of our new pickups. Yep. I'm just blanking on his first name. I apologize. But one of those special teams plays, he comes in, and the kid's coming out of the end zone and just depletes the Nashville kid.
Yeah, so did Shorts. I mean, Shorts had a big hit.
Shorts had a big hit. There was one play, and it didn't result in any tackle or anything. But I'm on the end of I'm on the end of the arena across from where the team comes out for their intros. And Mike Lee was coming up like a missile at like 120 mile an hour to come down on special teams and make a play. And he literally skidded to a stop because only the wall stopped him. And I was like, I mean, just the effort.
Wow, man.
It's just not crazy. Like to put these guys put their bodies on the line and just continually get it done at all times for every time. So, I think that, going forward, like I said, get healthy, and let's see where we go from here against Corpus Christi on the 24th here at MVP Arena.
So yeah, that's a big day of programming we've had. We had Gary Compton on for the pregame show. He was a great guest. And,
Gary is great. He was our first two-time. Well, now it's not. Now he was our first two-time guest. Yes. Now we've had another two-time guest in Mr. Short. So
thanks everybody that have watched these shows up to this point. I hope everybody that did come to the arena tonight had a great time. We'll stay tuned in terms of when our next show is. I'm not sure if we're going to have a show only because they are on a bye. we haven't really discussed that yet.
We'll talk about it. The goal is to have a show on Monday, but keep up on our social medias, on Instagram, Facebook, all the different socials, and we'll have word up there. But the plan for now is to have a show on Monday like we have been doing. But keep an eye on that. We'll be able to figure that out for you guys, because you guys really support us, and we do love you guys for letting us do what we do and cover this team the way we do, and to do it for the fans and do it for the guys. So we appreciate it. And for Adam Samarov, that's Chris Sipperly. Bailey is over there just kind of bored on her phone. And also for my production assistant, our production assistant, Cassandra, and all of us here at the Nest. Goodbye from MVP Arena. We will see you next week.
Bye for now.